Um, so my name's Steve. I work for Forestry England. I'm the White-tailed Eagle Project Officer. So for those of you that don't know, the White-tailed Eagle Reintroduction Project started here on the Isle of Wight in 2019. It's a 5-year programme led in partnership with Roy Dennis Wildlife Foundation and Forestry England. The project is licensed by Natural England and by Scottish Natural Heritage, which I think is now Nature Scot, actually. So the principal objective being to restore white-tailed eagles as a breeding bird here on the south coast of England again after an absence of 240 years. So as a brief history of white-tailed eagles here in the UK, they were once a really widespread bird across all of the British Isles, not just the UK but Ireland as well. And through centuries of relentless persecution, really, these birds were driven to extinction, and the sole cause of extinction is man. So it's pretty important that we try and restore this bird. I suppose we'll have a look at video in a minute, and you guys will get an idea of what these birds look like, and I'll talk a little bit about what we've learned so far. But we're aiming to release 60 birds over that 5-year period. So far, we've released about 13. So, and hopefully we'll release a few more later this year. So I'll start a video now, so everyone can stop listening to me and start watching something more interesting. This is last year's release, 2020's release. 3 of these birds ready to go on the first morning. So they get this really luxurious lifestyle while they're here with us on the Isle of Wight. We receive the birds at about 10 weeks of age. So at that point, they're pretty much fully grown. They're sort of, I suppose, just over 2/3 grown, but they're not quite fully feathered. So they still haven't really got their tail feathers, and they haven't got their flight feathers yet, and their wings still have a bit of growing to do. So we hold them for around 4 to 6 weeks. And during that time, they get about 1 kilo of fish a day. So these birds are primarily fish-eating birds. So they're very much like bald eagles in the United States. They eat a lot of fish, but they also eat water birds, and they'll eat small mammals like rabbits. And they'll also take quite a lot of carrion in their early years. But the birds, when they're in the pens with us, they get quite a good diet, really. I was quite jealous a number of times because we get a lot of waste fish and bycatch. So a couple of the fishmongers give us things like scallops that are just about to go out of date, or turbot that's just about to go out of date, and it's quite tempting to try and take that home, actually. But primarily they get bycatch from crab pots. So talking like fish like conger eels, and you can actually, in the video, you'll see some of them as well, ballan wrasse, and cuckoo wrasse, which are almost like tropical looking things. So once they're sort of ready for release, which is probably guess about 12 to 14 weeks old. So we hold them 4 to 6 weeks. Some of them a little bit older, maybe nearer 16 weeks old. And prior to release, we fit them with satellite transmitters, which you might be able to see. I'm going to try and get a laser pointer out if I can. Oh no, maybe I can't. You can see on the back of a couple of the birds these satellite transmitters, but they're also fitted with these color rings, and you can see that in the middle of the screen on this bird now. This black and white color ring, so G471 is the identifying code for this bird, and that's how we follow them in the wild once they're released. So the trackers give us a huge amount of data, and I can almost send them a text message to change the transmission cycle. So we've got a huge amount of power and huge amount of ability to follow these birds in the wild once they're out. And some of you may well have ability to follow the project and see some of the blog pieces that have been on the Roy Dennis Wildlife Foundation website, or even some of them are featured in national news articles. We've had birds travel all over the place, and there's one at the moment that's in Denmark, a couple that have gone to Scotland, and one from the first release that went to Scotland but came back to the Isle of Wight. And these sorts of journeys, although quite surprising to many, are actually very normal for young white-tailed eagles. And this is all part of how they explore the landscape in their early years and really learn where other white-tailed eagles are and how to be a white-tailed eagle, I guess. So once they've explored for maybe 2-3 years, they return to where they perceive to be home, where their natal site is, and these birds will return here to the Isle of Wight and the Solent Coast, because that's where they believe they fledged from. And at that age, they're still not quite old enough to breed, but they'll be looking to set up breeding territories. So they won't reach full breeding maturity until about 4 or 5 years old. So even once they return, they've still got a little way to go before they're sort of contributing to the population. But hopefully, after the release phase and once all the birds mature, we'll have around 6 to 8 pairs established from this initial translocated population. And hopefully by that point, some of the older birds will already be fledging young of their own. So the population will steadily grow. So it could, things could develop very quickly, which would be fantastic. And we're already starting to see even in this early phase of the project. So we're only in the 3rd year of the project now, and 2 of the birds on the Isle of Wight are already behaving in a territorial fashion, which is fantastic. So these birds will never get to sort of population size of, say, buzzards or red kites, which are quite widespread in England and Wales now, and have quite small territory sizes. But these birds have really, really big territory sizes, and they're incredibly intolerant of one another once they reach breeding age. And the bird that's just landed on the tree over there, this is one of the birds that set up territory here on the Isle of Wight, and he perceives most of the island to be his and his alone. So he actually will actively chase other young birds off the Isle of Wight, which is really fascinating to watch, and it demonstrates that the island probably will only ever be home to a handful of pairs, if that. But the purpose of the project is not just to restore this bird to the Isle of Wight, but to restore it to all of southern England. So this is just one small place in quite a big landscape. We've just got a few more minutes left of the video, so I will let you guys enjoy it and try not to make too much commentary now. But this bird here, this is the bird that went to Scotland and back. So was G324, and she went all the way to the Firth of Forth in Scotland, but came back last summer. And there's some nice comparison between 2 different ages here on the feeding tables. So once birds are released, we still provide them with food, much like they would be provided with food by their parents in the wild. We provide them with food, albeit we put them on big bird tables rather than providing them with food directly. So you've got an older bird in the background there, much lighter in colour. Younger bird, sort of more chestnut and brown in colour in the foreground, which is one of the 2020 releases. You get a real sense of scale when you compare them to magpies. There's plenty of information about white-tailed eagles on the Roy Dennis Wildlife Foundation website you can read about, including the feasibility study for the white-tailed eagle release here on the Isle of Wight. It's quite a lengthy document, but there's lots of information about these birds. Well, thank you very much for listening, and if you have any questions, you can get in touch with us via seaeagleengland@forestryengland.uk. I'll be happy to answer any queries you might have. Thanks very much.